Welcome to the 12th video of the particle series. In this video, we'll see how to connect a bunch of uniforms to control the parameters that we created inside the transform feedback shader. So nothing difficult, we are just going to create some uniform parameters in order to control the shader from within our patch. So let's get into it. So that's the patch as we left it, that's our shader as we left it. Now, a couple of things I would like to control from the patch are the position of the attractor. So let's start with that. So let's go inside the shader. Let's create a new uniform. Let's create it here. Param name. Let's call it U, because this is a uniform. So I always prepend the name of the uniforms with the letter U. And then this is going to be attractor position. And this is going to be of type vec3, because this is going to be a position in our virtual space. And then we need to give it a default value. A default because we say this is not a state uniform, so it doesn't come from max, and it's not different for every vertex like the buffers. This is equal for all the vertices and doesn't come from the application, it comes from us, so we need to set for this a default value. Default value is going to be, for example, the center of our world. Let's close the tag, and let's also bind it now. So bind param u attractor position, and of course we bind it to the program VP because it's the only program that we are using. Good. So now we go here. So before declaring our texture, let's declare our attractor position. So u attractor position, and let's replace it inside our shader. So we just set it manually before, like this. We just pass it in the structure attractor like that. So instead of passing an hard-coded vector, let's just pass inside our U attractor position. Great. And now we can control the position from the patch. Oh, seems that I made a mistake. Undefined variable U attractor position. Alright, because I didn't declare the type of this variable. Probably you saw it and was screaming at the screen, you made a mistake. Yeah, I did. So good. Now we can control the position of this attractor from the patch. As you can see from the default is at the center, and we can now change that. For example, like this. Say pack U attractor position FFF. Now we can connect this to the transform feedback shader, right? And we can change the position using, for example, some float number boxes. Oh, of course, we need to prepend also param. I'm a bit sloppy today. So param, prepend param. So basically we prepend the word param before the name of the uniform we are changing, so the shader understands that this is actually a uniform parameter that we are changing. Now let's also change the position of our attractor visualizer, which is this sphere here. So let's do like this. Let's say send attractor position. Let's send this list, and we receive it here. And let's replace U attractor position simply with position. Oh, it does. Sorry, it was not replace, it's actually substitute. So substitute this word with this other word. So now we are setting the position of our visualizer as well. Great. So the particles are attracted to our sphere. They will bounce to the edges of our world and keep being attracted from our sphere. Now, it would be nice to have our attractor move automatically around in the patch. So for these kind of things, I always like to use Perlin noise. Now we can create Perlin noise in jitter in several ways. We could use Gitmo Perlin, we could use JitBFG. I think in this case I'm going to use JitBFG. So we can do it like that. JitBFG 3 planes. Float 32, a size, for the moment let's simply say 2 to 1, 2 by 2, it's the minimum size that we need in order to make the JitBFG work, and 1 for the third dimension is just because of the offsetting that we will do on the third dimension, because it looks better. So let's connect a JitB window. Let's connect a JIT mode time, right, which will basically start outputting the time. Since it's created, it's automatically connected to the JIT world, so it's if we give it automatic 1, it's automatically on, right? So we can then say that offset 0 on the x dimension, 0 on the y dimension, and time on the z dimension, and then we bang this matrix. And doesn't understand offset because I connected to the window. And great, now we actually just need to choose a basis. So let's choose basis noise.simplex. Right, and we get our noise. Now, this noise is not normalized actually, so I would like to have it normalized between -1 and 1. So let's do like this. First we give it the set at basis sine 1 attribute, so we know that the noise is going to go in the positive and in the negative direction. Great. Then we do like this. Let's create a JIT_gen. And let's actually use the normalize function inside JIT_gen to actually normalize this vector between -1 and 1. So these 3 numbers are considered to be a vector which we normalize between -1 and 1. Then we can actually use JIT.iter or iter to get these. Let's actually first just get a single cell of this matrix, like this, JIT matrix 3 float 32, just one single cell. That's everything we need, right? So from this, we just want to have the first cell here up on the left, so that's what we get. Because this contains 3 numbers that we will use as our position, so here they are. Great, so we can use now these numbers as our position. Let's connect this here. You can see that our attractor is moving around in the cube because it's normalized values, so they're going only to go between -1 and 1, so it's never going to go outside of this cube. It's a bit too fast, which means we need to set the speed of the time object a bit lower, so let's say for example 0.1. Right. Great, so we connected the position of our attractor with some Perlin noise values, which will just make it move automatically inside our cube in a kind of a smooth way, which is pretty nice. Now let's go back inside our shader, and let's change also, for example, in the bounce edges, the dump amount. So actually when they bounce on the edges, their speed is halved, so they will not have so much speed anymore, which is kind of makes them go a bit more slow then. Great. We can also assign this to a uniform. So another uniform that I would like to assign is the attraction force to the attractor. So this is our attraction force for the moment, our G factor, and we want to change it through a uniform. So let's do it. So after we declare the attractor position, let's go with param name u attractor G. So this is basically the attraction force, and this is of type float because it's just a float, and default it's going to be this value that we set down here, 0.0001. Right, and let's bind it. So go up here, bind param u attractor G, and the program, of course, is the VP as we did before. Great. And now let's declare it in our shader. So uniform float u attractor G. Great. And let's replace these hard-coded number here with our attractor G. Great. So now from the patch we can actually change this value manually. So let's go like this, and let's say pack, let's go with pack so we're kind of consistent, u attractor G, and then F. Let's connect this to the param prepend param, because this is also a uniform, so we need to send it as a param. And great, we can make this much bigger or much smaller. We can also make it negative, which means then the particles are repelled from this ball, or they are attracted. So, great, that's pretty neat. This is a bit not so a comfortable number to work with, so let's actually make divided by 1000, so we are pretty, so this should be like 0.4. Exactly, so we are kind of in a range 0 to 1, which is a bit nicer to work with. Exactly. Great, so this is our attractor. And let's see what else can we change here. Before we do our last uniform, let me actually go inside the gravitational attraction force. I want to clip the distance between 1 and 20, so actually they can be pretty far from the attractor. So let's restart the transfer feedback again. Okay, so this seems pretty good. If we make this smaller, then the particles kind of just slightly attracted from the attractor. If we make it negative, then they're actually repelled. I'd like to have more particles. Let's get more particles. We are just with 1000, but let's actually get to 10,000. So we need to change the dimensions of all the matrices that fill the buffers. That's it. Good. And now we should have... Oh, we also need to change these dimensions, these texture dimensions here. Right. Good. So we have now many more particles. Oh, and inside the shader then, we need to change this number from 1999 to 1999, because now we have 10,000 particles, so we need to divide this number by the size of this texture -1, because so we are reading the whole texture, because the coordinates go between 0 and 1. Alright, so now it's a bit more funny when we make this negative. Can play a bit around with this, with the attractor strength and all the parameters that we are going to create. So great, let's change a couple of parameters more. For example, we can change the maximum velocity to F. This is also something that we would like to have possible to modify from our patch. So let's go here and just copy that and say U max vel. Type float, by default, let's say 0.02, something like that. Let's bind it, so we just copy that, paste it, copy the name, paste it. Then we go here, uniform float U max vel, and we replace our hard-coded vector with that. So this was here when we clamp our output velocity between our minus maximum velocity and positive maximum velocity. So great, now we can actually modify this from our patch. So let's do like this, pack U max vel, connect it to prepend param as well, float number box, and we can now assign a different maximum velocity. So our particles will actually retain a bigger velocity from the previous frame. So we can see in the end that they will go actually faster. Let's make the attractor strength bigger. Right. Let's make the maximum velocity bigger. Cool. Yeah, it gives us a bit more control on how our particles behave. Okay, perfect. So I think you got it by now. So if you would like, it would be cool if you replace also the gravity and the wind, maybe automating them using also the JitBFG. So we could have a wind that changes constantly according to the parameters of the JitBFG. Actually, let's do it together, because it's going to be pretty cool. So let's do like this. Instead of attractor position, let's copy that and call it U wind. Default 000, it's okay. Now let's bind it. So U wind. So this is also vector 3. Let's go here. Uniform vector 3 U wind. And instead of creating this wind vector, let's actually use our U wind vector. Great. So let's go here. Let's use the same JitBFG values, but we will just take another cell. So let's first scale these cells, this BFG, like very big. So there is basically no correlation between the single cells, because we are scaling the noise to be very big. So in this way, there is very little correlation between the single cells. And let's do like this. Let's actually use a JIT sub matrix, and let's say dimension, this was just 1 with offset 0 basically. This was our first one. And then let's create another one, dim 1 but offset 1. So we take now the other cell. We offset this one cell on the right, and we get the cell on the right of our previous one. So let's see if this actually is working. If we get two different cells, that's cell 1, that's cell 2. As you can see, they're very different, so there is little correlation between them. Great, so let's create another JIT iter. Let's connect it here, and great, so let's do like this, and say pack you wind. Let's connect it to this thing, and let's connect this to param. Oh, now the wind is very strong. So let's actually multiply this value by something small, which will be our wind strength. So JIT multiplier, value 0.001, something like that, which you can always modify in order to change our wind strength. So let's restart. Transfer feedback. So this is going to be our wind strength. As for the attractor strength, let's actually divide this number by 1000, so we have a bit better control on it. And let's see what's a good value. So if we set the attractor strength to 0, so we got only the wind now. Let's see what's the wind doing. It's basically splashing our particles all around. Let's make it a bit more intense. Yeah, right. So the particles are kind of squeezed. Yeah. That's already too much wind strength. Yeah, so something like that can actually work. Can also not use it if we don't feel like using it. And for the moment I will disable it, because it's not so interesting actually. So, but it's something that you have if you want to use it. You can have the particles move all in a single direction. Great. So let's re-input a bit of attractor strength. Great. And great, so if you want to now modify some new uniforms, some new parameters from the patch, you know how to do it. Just go in your shader, either be the render shader or the transfer feedback shader, create some param here tags inside the GXS file, declare those variables inside the shader, and then use them inside the main function. So great, this was it. So in the next videos we are going to see how to improve our particle system, of course, how to make it look great, and how we can apply different forces to our particles, all the good stuff. So stick with the series, check my Patreon for the patch and for a lot of other cool stuff, and see you soon. Ciao.